Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining me, my daughter. Just going to share my screen with you and take you through this this presentation. It's really about how to let go and find your flow is the essence of it. So there's a little subtitle of that: how to develop the ability to let go of any negative thought or emotion in minutes. Find authentic happiness, fulfilling flow, higher purpose, true well-being, and thrive even in these turbulent times without quitting your job or spending a fortune on books, workshops, seminars, coaching, traveling to India or anything else. So I'll be covering quite a lot tonight. If you have any questions, just hold on to them till the end of the session, because I'll have some question and answer time, and you can always just make a note of them if you've got a pen and paper handy to remind yourself. But I'll probably cover most of what you're going to ask anyway. Okay, so the objectives and structure of this is going to give you a little outline. First of all, I'm going to guide you through a simple breath-based relaxation technique. So you might have done some of this already as part of the meditations I've done, but I'm just going to take you through it because it's the foundation of everything. Once you start to learn this very simple diaphragmatic breathing technique, you can build on that. It's the foundation of any kind of meditation practice. So just close your eyes. Make sure you're sitting comfortably with feet shoulder width apart. Keep your back straight as possible. So support your back against the back of the chair or the sofa. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. I want you to put one hand over your stomach. Just put one hand on your stomach, and as you breathe in, you just blow up the stomach, just pushing the stomach out. And notice how the stomach rises, then the chest rises, the second phase of the breath. And then take a final sip of air in. And you feel your full lungs are filled up with this air. And just pause at the top of the inhale. Notice that there's this really nice stillness that happens in this little gap between breaths. The mind just starts to empty as you put all your attention on the breath. And then you just exhale. And as you exhale, let's make a little sighing sound in the back of your throat. It's called the Ujjayi sound, actually, in yoga. But you just keep your mouth closed and you sigh it out, and the air flows naturally out of your nostrils. And the chest and the stomach just gently suck back in. Pause at the bottom of the exhale for a few seconds. Smile. And then breathe in again. So breathing in, notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Subtle flow of air into the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. And then you exhale. Just sigh it all out. Just keep that nice deep rhythmical pattern going for a couple of minutes. Breathing in, notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile, and then you exhale. Just sighing it all out. Make a sighing sound in the back of your throat. Air flows out of your nostrils, the chest and the stomach suck back in. And you just repeat the cycle. Just step back and watch your breath for a few more breaths. Just do 6 more breaths. Nice, deep, slow breaths in your own time. There's no rush. You just watch the breath. You just step back and observe it, and notice how you get very calm and still when you do this. Mind is clear, calm, Empty, open, but aware. And it's very relaxing, just allowing yourself to get more and more relaxed with each breath. Just breathing in your own time. There's no rush. It's generally a few seconds from the inhale, then you pause for a couple of seconds. And then you exhale. Make that little sighing sound as you keep your mouth closed, as though you're fogging sunglasses, but your mouth is closed. And chest and stomach just suck back in. Pause at the bottom of the exhale again. And then you breathe in. Just do 5 more deep inhales and exhales. Just putting all your attention on the breath. It's really the key. So don't let your attention wander and go anywhere else. Your mind is wandering, you're thinking any distracting kind of thoughts. Just notice them, and as you exhale, just blow them away. Imagine you blowing them away like dark clouds with your breath. Just exhale them out. And so your mind is very still, very calm, very empty, open, but aware. Still aware, although you're not consciously thinking about anything. Just notice how that feels. Another few breaths. Probably got 3 or 4 more breaths to do. Just nice, deep, slow inhales. I have a sense that the breath is just really helping you to let go of whatever you're carrying. So just, if there's anything, any negativity, any little issues that have cropped up today in your working day, just breathe in, notice those, whatever the thoughts and emotions are. And just have a sense of dropping them, letting them go with the breath. Sighing them all out. You make that sighing sound as though you're fogging sunglasses, but keep your mouth closed. And you just blow them away. And you put all your attention in your breath. So another couple of deep breaths. Just inhale, pause, smile, find the peace in the stillness. If there's anything remaining in your mind, in your emotions, you need to let go of, just sigh it all away with the breath. Pause, the bottom of the exhale, and 1 more deep inhale. Nice deep inhale, filling up the lower stomach, then the chest. Final sip of air, feeling like the energy is rising up into your head. Pause, smile, just find a nice, calm, empty, open, spacious awareness. The gap between breaths. And then exhale, sigh it all out. So the last exhale, pause at the bottom for a couple of seconds, smile, and just notice how you're feeling before you open your eyes. And anchor this state in. You should be feeling very calm, very peaceful, very relaxed. Let's just check in with you. So when you're ready, you can just open your eyes. Look around and just try and notice how maybe your perception is a little bit different from a few minutes ago before you started this process. And just as we go through the session, just keep watching your breath. So just keeping some attention on the breath, just breathing these nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths. How did you find that?
Quite relaxing.
Yeah. So that is a what I call a foundational practice. You can use that, just that simple breathing, anytime, just to relax you, just sitting comfortably, breathing those nice, deep, slow breaths. Did you make sure you're breathing through your nose, and the
Sure.
stomach was pushing out, and then the
And
chest.
the chest.
So in that order, stomach and then chest.
Mm.
Nice full inhale. You pause for a couple of seconds, and then you exhale. And you can make that little sighing sound. That's optional, but it helps to expel more air out. So that's a very simple relaxation or meditation process that you can use anytime. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling uptight, you just take even a couple of minutes will help. A couple of minutes time out, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just doing some nice deep diaphragmatic breathing. And that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of fight or flight response, and it calms you right down. And then if you want to do anything else with it, you could carry on into meditation. You could introduce some prayer. You could do some reading, because you're in a nice, calm, relaxed state. The breath really does help you to get there. So that's the first part of the masterclass, and that's a little technique. Really, it's enormously valuable. You can use that anytime. If you concentrate on breathing that way, just normally in your daily life, it's going to help you as well. It just helps you to stay calm. You're also fully oxygenating your system. So most people breathe quite shallowly, so they're not using their full lung capacity. If you breathe this way, it's engaging the diaphragm, which is the core breathing muscle. And when you engage the diaphragm, you pull the air into the deeper parts of the lungs, which then starts to engage your full lung capacity. You absorb more oxygen per breath. So you don't need to breathe as much. You breathe slower and deeper. And there's quite a strong correlation between breath rates and life expectancy. So the animals that breathe more slowly, like tortoises, elephants, they have very slow breath rates. Tortoises, like 2 breaths a minute. They live a long time. Animals that breathe fast tend not to live as long. Think of a dog. Pant, because the too much oxygen is actually harmful for your system. It oxidizes your system, starts to do what oxygen does to metal, it starts to rust it. So slowing the breathing rate down. Yes, you need oxygen, but you absorb more oxygen per breath. Is a foundational health practice as well as a spiritual practice. So just concentrating on doing that, and breathing like that as much as you can remember to, will do some really good things for your health and well-being.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm going to talk about one secret skill. I'll just put you on mute again. So there's really only one skill, and this is very little known. There's many ideas and approaches to this whole idea of personal and spiritual growth. But in my experience, this is the one thing that you need to master to allow your life to work miraculously. I'll talk about 4 life-changing benefits of doing this. I'll share 7 stress-busting techniques. I just shared one of them experientially, but I'll talk about the other 6 to help you to master the one essential skill, and how you can practice these in your daily life to experience the benefits. I'll guide you through a 10-step letting go process and meditation at the end. So stick around till the end. It incorporates the breathing that I've just done, but also a very powerful 10-step letting go process, which is based on all the teachings in a Course in Miracles. And I'll explain a little bit more about what's involved with that. And then finally, just some questions, time for questions and answers. Okay, so as I mentioned, this 10-step letting go process, it's about a 20-minute meditation. So it's quite a nice way to end off the session, prepare yourself for bed. I'll also give you the instruction sheet for the process, and a half-hour recording to guide you through it, if you stay until the very end. So yeah, it's around, that's 20 minutes. So by the time we finish, it'll be about 2 hours, but promise you'll be well worth your while. Okay, so let me ask a question. Why are you here today? And just pause and consider that. Why are you here? You don't have to answer it, but it's worth just asking yourself a question. The truth is you must have come here because you're looking for something. And you may think you're looking for, a lot of people just want relief from stress, anxiety, depression, and disease, which ultimately leads to disease. It's the source of it. So better health, more wealth, better relationships, a better quality of life and lifestyle. But ultimately, what are you really looking for? What's everyone really looking for? Yeah, and just pause, think about that. And in a word, it's happiness, isn't it? So it's this idea of happiness. And you can call it other things. You could call it peace, joy. There are many words, but happiness is quite a nice one. Everyone wants to be happy. And what we think is going to make us happy is those things. So happiness is the end result we want. We think various things are going to make us happier, which is why we pursue those things. And that's why the majority of people just haven't found lasting happiness, because they're looking somewhere outside, looking externally to themselves. So we're taught, and don't take this personally, this is a societal program. We're taught to think that we'll be happy when we have better or more of various things. So it could be health and fitness, and we're constantly bombarded with these kinds of images in the media to sell all kinds of products and services. We're told that we'll be happy when we have the nice car or nice clothes, things that money can buy, a nice house, which creates a very nice lifestyle for us, a relationship with Mr. or Mrs. Right, that's a huge one. Travel on holidays, that's another big one for a lot of people. Nice experiences, fine dining, adventure, whatever it is that works for you. And a lot of people have got on the track of reading these kinds of books, personal growth books. There's hundreds of them, and I've read many of them myself. And it's a very good starting point, because knowledge is power. But the book itself isn't going to do it, and another book isn't necessarily going to do it, because it's all about application. I started reading these kinds of books when I was in my teens, and some of the ideas were foundational to my thinking for many years. But what I found towards the end of my 20s, I'd become a professional squash player and really decided that I wanted to be a champion, because that's what these books are saying. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I really pursued that, and I really dedicated myself to it. But I had to face reality in my late 20s that it just wasn't going to happen. And so it really caused me to pause, take a step back and go, okay, so maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something else that a lot of these books aren't saying. It's not just about what you can conceive of and setting your goals, because that hasn't worked for me. So it caused me to really take a step back, and I started reading different kinds of books. I also started to meditate a couple of years earlier to try and improve my squash. And I think that opened me up to another way of looking at the world. I read a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which is really the opposite of the idea that you have to achieve something in order to feel happy. In order to feel worthy and happy, you have to achieve things in your life, which is what many of these books are saying, that your life is all about achievement, accomplishment. And the Power of Now is really just saying you can be happy as you are now, right now. You don't need anything else to happen. You don't need to achieve anything. You don't need anything external to you to be happy. And that really resonated with me, and it took me on a very different path, a more, one would say, spiritual path. So there's really two ways of approaching this whole idea of happiness. The one is to try and do things to make you happy. So I can do things, and then I'll be happy, which requires that you do things, and then often you have things, you get a result from the doing, and then that makes you happy. In my experience, that doesn't really work. Or you turn it around and you say, actually, I'm happy just because I am. I'm happy right now as I am. And yes, I'm still doing things in the world, and I may or may not have external things I'm trying to achieve, but my happiness isn't really dependent on those, because I can be happy right now as I am. And that's a much stronger base for happiness, because it's not reliant on anything external to you. You don't have to do anything to achieve it. It's never in the future. What the first philosophy does is it always puts your happiness off into the future. You know, when I achieve that, when I do that, then I'll be happy. And we can live our whole lives that way without ever actually finding happiness. So you can also go to motivational seminars. I've actually been to one of these with that very man, Tony Robbins. I've seen him on stage, and everyone gets very hyped up and excited. But I didn't think it was lasting happiness. It was more like excitement and getting people pumped up. Lasting happiness is something that's much deeper, and generally not particularly loud, or it's not about jumping up and down in the air. It's not rah rah. So I didn't find it there. Pills, that's another one. So not that I've ever really taken drugs of any kind. I've avoided them, but that's a very common approach in today's world. I'm not feeling good, so I'll pop a pill, an antidepressant. Antidepressants are very heavily prescribed these days. So again, you're looking somewhere to something outside of you to change your state and make you happier. And the final one is psychotherapy. I've never actually done psychotherapy myself, but I did spend some time with a psychiatrist last year, so I sort of saw the modality, and it didn't seem like it was terribly empowering. It was more about come to the doctor to get help and get your drugs, and they obviously they talked a little bit with them, but there wasn't really any approach like I just showed you, teaching breath work and mindfulness, which is why I was talking to him, because we were trying to introduce it into the staff in a psychiatry clinic, but the system was quite resistant to change. So it's a model that a lot of people turn to, but I don't think it's the answer, because it's still coming from something outside of you. You need the therapist to help you. So you can look to some spiritual principles to discover where happiness can be found, because happiness isn't really a goal in itself. And this quote says it quite beautifully. Happiness is really a butterfly, which when pursued is always just beyond your grasp, but which, if you will sit down quietly, may come and alight on you, which is exactly what we did at the beginning of this presentation. Just sat down quietly for a few minutes, and maybe you experienced a sense of happiness, a sense of something else arising. It's very peaceful. You can call that feeling whatever you want, but it's a nice kind of wholesome feeling. And it's not really about pursuing anything. It's just about sitting quietly, which is called meditation, or prayer, if you want to call it that. It doesn't matter really what word you call it. Sitting down quietly and letting something else arise when you quiet your mind, which is a very ancient spiritual practice in many spiritual traditions, including Christianity. This idea of just being quiet, and you hear God's voice. So it's although this was in 1885, it's reflective of a very, very old idea. It's thousands of years old, the idea of just sitting, being quiet in meditation, rather than the idea of going out and having to pursue happiness. In fact, it's interesting, because the American Declaration of Independence, in that famous document, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote it, said, we have the right to pursue happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not happiness itself. So pursuit of happiness. And what does that set up? Well, you're always chasing, you're always pursuing happiness and never actually getting there. And the United States, America, is really the epitome of that. Everyone pursuing something external to them, trying to achieve things, trying to get material possessions, in the belief that that's going to make them happier. But statistics seem to show that that's not the case. It's one of the least happy societies on the planet, although they have possibly the most material wealth and abundance. So where can you find authentic happiness? So we can look again to spiritual principles. This is a quote by a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who is the world's leading authority on the phenomenon of flow, which is just a modern version, a modern psychological term, again, for a very ancient concept. The idea that you can be happy in the moment while you're active and you're doing things in the world. And this is what he had to say. To know oneself is the first step toward making flow a part of one's entire life. Just as there is no free lunch in the material economy, nothing comes free in the psychic one. If one is not willing to invest psychic energy in the internal reality of consciousness, and instead squanders it in chasing external rewards, one loses mastery of one's life and ends up becoming a puppet of circumstances. So he's saying very clearly, and he's just echoing a very ancient spiritual truth, that when we seek outside of ourselves, we're looking for something outside of ourselves to make us happy. We actually squander our psychic energy, as he calls it. We squander our life energy, and we lose mastery of our life because we're saying that my life and my happiness is now dependent on something or someone outside of me. And we end up becoming a puppet or a victim, would be another way of saying that, of circumstances. So now our happiness is totally dependent on the external world rather than the internal one, which means we're not in a very powerful position because the external world's always changing, circumstances are always changing. And we've seen that in a very big way this year. I don't think anyone a year ago could have predicted what would unfold. And so if your happiness was dependent on the external circumstances, like having a job, being able to go out and socialize, exercise, and so on, and suddenly that all gets taken away, then you lose, you're a victim. And that's happened to a lot of people this year. Whereas if you internally, if your locus of controls, it's called, is internal, then you can be happy irrespective because you're not dependent on these external circumstances. So that's Temet Noske, means know thyself. That's a little picture from a movie called The Matrix, which I don't know if you've seen. In fact, let me just check in with you and see. Have you seen that movie called The Matrix?
No, I haven't.
Haven't. Okay. So anyway, it's a scene from that, and the guy in the movie is a guy called Neo, who's the hero of the movie, and he goes to see what's called the Oracle, who's kind of going to try and give him some guidance on his path. And she says, do you know what that means? And he says, no. And it means know thyself in Latin. So really she's saying to him, that's what it's all about, is about knowing yourself. And you don't quite have that yet, but you're on the path. Which is again, an ancient injunction. Even in the Bible, it says, I am that I am is the name of God. So it's about, going within and knowing, discovering for yourself who you really are. That seems to be the single common trait amongst all spiritual paths, is this idea that happiness comes when you know yourself. But often that relies on one character trait, which is self-discipline. Because without the self-discipline to sit down and be quiet and discipline your mind to let go of various thoughts and emotions that aren't helpful, you never find it. Your mind is continuously preoccupied with the external world, which is the case for most people. Most people's minds and their thinking is typically outwardly directed, and there's not that many people who've taken the time to discipline their mind, to be quiet, to be still, to let go of these external distractions. So the self-discipline to do what? Well, in a nutshell, and this is really what I've learned in my journey over the last nearly 48 years. There's one key thing that you need to learn to do. This is the one essential skill that I mentioned at the beginning, to let go of any negative thought and emotion. And I hyphenate that because the two go hand in hand. If you think a thought, and so often there's an emotion that goes with it. And the emotion then feeds back into the thought. An emotion is a feeling, but that triggers more of the same kinds of thoughts, which then trigger more emotion. So it's thought to emotion happening simultaneously and reinforcing each other as and when that pattern arises. So it's a pattern of thoughts and emotion. And because we've had many years in which we've practiced often negative thinking and negative emotions, these things are quite entrenched. They arise frequently. And the key skill is to learn to let go of that pattern, that negative thought emotion as and when it arises. And that really is the key to authentic happiness. Because these two things are true. First of all, happiness or unhappiness is always experienced in your own mind. No one's making you happy or unhappy. It's an internal experience. Now, it might be in response to something external. So what most people go is, oh, you're making me unhappy because you're doing something or not doing something that I don't like. But the truth is that only your own negative thoughts and feelings about whatever is happening in the external world can make you unhappy. And if you just pause a moment and think about those two statements, you see the truth of them, because no one can make you happy or unhappy. It's up to you how you perceive every situation. And you might have been in a situation where something really bothered you and it didn't really bother anyone else, or vice versa. You got unhappy about something and another person was completely unaffected because they just saw it differently. So it's perceptual. Only our own negative thoughts and feelings can make us unhappy in response to whatever it is that we perceive outside. Because those two things are true, learning how to let go of your negative thoughts and emotions must be the key to your happiness. Unhappiness is only caused by your own negative thoughts and feelings, sometimes apparently in response to other things. And learning how to let go of those becomes the key to happiness. So it's a very simple principle, but as I said, it's secret. It's overlooked. Most people don't know this. If you said, "What's the one key thing? What's the key to life?" The majority of people wouldn't say, "Oh, it's learning how to let go of negative thoughts and emotions." But in my experience, that's what it is. So that's key benefit number one that I'm going to talk about, that I promised to talk about, is the key benefit, first key benefit of learning how to let go is authentic happiness, no matter what's happening, because you can let it go. Just going to mute you again. So a little case study on this. So this is a guy by the name of Phil van den Heever, who when he did the Art of Letting Go course, which I'm going to talk more about a bit later, a couple of years ago, he was 80. I think he just turned 80 that year. And he'd been studying this book, which I'm also going to talk about almost right now, called A Course in Miracles, for 27 years. And he said, I've learned more about the course, he meant A Course in Miracles, in the last 6 weeks. That's the length of the Art of Letting Go course, than in the last 27 years of studying it, which I took as a great compliment. So he'd been studying the book about twice as long as I had, so I was under a little bit of pressure. And he said that one of the key benefits, the key benefit that he got from the course, was learning how to forgive truly. And I'm just going to share, with Phil's permission, I'm going to share a little experience that he had of actually doing that just now. But just first of all, a little bit about A Course in Miracles, because you're probably not that familiar with it. You might have seen me quoting it in the messages I've sent you. So I'm just going to give you a little overview about what it is. It's a book, as you can see, quite a thick book. There's about 1,300 pages in it, so it's not an insubstantial read. So it consists of a text of about 670 pages, to explain in detail the principles and the philosophy on which the course, because it is a course, as he says, as the title says, it's a course in miracles, which is what attracted me to it. I was like, yeah, I'd like to know how to do miracles, and that's why I started reading it. What I discovered as I went deeper into it was that what I thought was a miracle wasn't really what was meant by a miracle. I actually had no idea what a miracle really was. We have the idea that miracles are things that like Jesus did, where he turned water into wine, he walked on water, and those may well have been miracles, but actually miracles are much deeper than that. It's really about finding peace and love and happiness in your own mind, especially if it's difficult, in a difficult situation. So a miracle is a shift from fear to love in any situation. It took me about 10 years to learn that. So I hope it won't take you as long to really internalize it, because it's some very deep principles that the course contains and points to. Then there's a workbook, which you've been exposed to, Madola, briefly, because I've been sending you these quotes for about 2 or 3 weeks now. So every day you get a quote. That quote, that idea is from this workbook, from A Course in Miracles, which is a daily lesson. It's just a mind training lesson, very short idea, just designed to train your mind how to let go of its negativity. That's really the key, which the course calls forgiveness. I call it letting go. It's the same process. It's letting go and allowing you to live in a miraculous state of mind. That's a state of mind in which you're feeling happy, loving, peaceful, and instead of miracles, I call it flow, because that's what it is. You're feeling happy, you're feeling in flow, everything works better when you're in flow. And then the third part of it is a manual for teachers, which is about 92 pages. That's just some additional guidance and clarification of terms in a Q&A format. The bulk of the course is the text and the workbook. That's really the key to it. So how did it come about? It was transmitted by Jesus. He identified himself as Jesus to an American professor of psychology in New York City named Helen Schuckman between 1965 and 1972. So I'll tell you the story of how it arose, because it's quite interesting, and it is actually a miraculous story. So this lady, Helen Schuckman, she was Jewish by birth, but she was atheist. She was very academic and very intellectual, working in this prestigious setting, the College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City, attached to Columbia University. And one day, her and her boss, a guy called Bill Thetford, were driving to a disciplinary hearing, which happened quite frequently. It was quite a conflict-ridden environment. There was a lot of fighting. Helen and Bill had a lot of interpersonal conflict, and he just got tired of it that day. And he said to her as they're driving across New York, he said, I'm just tired of this. I said, all this fighting and unhappiness and so on that's going on in the department. There must be a better way. And she agreed with him. She said, yeah, I agree. There is a better way. There must be a better way. And I don't know what it is, but I'll help you to find it. And that was almost an invitation to what the Course calls the Holy Spirit. Because in that moment, these two people who had a lot of conflict and apparently separate interests, in that moment, they had one purpose, which was to find a better way. And that was their higher purpose that they shared. So their minds were united. And that was almost an invitation to this voice for God, as the Course calls it, or the Holy Spirit, to come in and just use them as channels in the world. So very shortly after that, Helen started having very vivid dreams. She saw herself in white robes, and she confided in Bill, because this was quite unusual. And being, a professor of psychology, tried to understand it in a psychological framework. And then a few months later, she started hearing this voice. One night, this voice just started saying, repeatedly, "This is a Course in Miracles. Please take notes." She was like, "Okay, what do I do? This voice won't shut up." So she phoned Bill and she said, "This is what's happening. Am I going crazy?" He said, "Well, why don't you just do what it says? Write down what it says and bring in your notes in the morning, and we'll take a look at it." And which is what she did. And he took one look, he read through the notes, and he said, "No disrespect, Helen, but this isn't from you." She says, "Yes, I know. This isn't from me. It's just like this voice being transmitted into my head, and then I'm writing this stuff down." And that's how the process of what she called inner dictation started, that produced A Course in Miracles. Over the course of 7 years, between 1965 and 1972, this voice, which identified himself as Jesus, started speaking to her, and he would sometimes speak for half an hour, an hour, and then he'd go away a couple of days and come back and pick up exactly where he left off, and she'd continue the process. And so she was the scribe of this voice. She was just bringing this voice into this world, writing it down on paper. She'd then take it to Bill, who then typed it up. And over the course of 7 years, that's how the manuscript of A Course in Miracles came into being. And then they managed to find a publisher a few years later, which was also quite a miraculous process, because they put it out there and said, "How are we going to publish this?" And the next day, someone phoned them and said, "I've just sent a check for you to publish this," without them even asking. So it came about in a pretty miraculous way. What is it? I'd say that the simplest way to describe it is that it's a systematic mind training course. And he even says Jesus says it's a course in mind training to teach you a radically different way of thinking about and perceiving everything from a non-dual perspective. What that means is you're not seeing duality anymore. You're not seeing the opposites. In this world's characterized by opposites. It's a fundamental characteristic of our so-called world. For everything, there's an opposite. Light is dark as its opposite. Hot and cold, up and down, male and female, and so on. And what this is pointing to is a state of mind that's beyond that. It's saying there is actually only one reality. There's only one truth. And even though you're apparently living in a dualistic world where there are these opposites, you can actually train your mind to perceive only the oneness. And that oneness can be called many things. It can be called God. It can be called love, truth. But that starts to permeate your awareness and really influence your entire life, because you start to perceive everything differently when you perceive from this non-dual perspective. So it's designed to teach you how to forgive, and in the course it uses this word forgiveness, or to let go. That's my kind of translation, because I think it's a bit more understandable. There's a lot of misunderstanding as to what forgiveness really is, what it really means. It's been used in various religious contexts, and not everyone understands forgiveness in the sense that the Course means it. So as with a lot of words, it's misunderstood. Whereas letting go is less easy to misunderstand. It's I'm letting go. I'm letting go of anger, fear, hatred, negative thoughts. I'm just letting them go, and I'm not thinking them anymore. I'm not feeling that way anymore. So that's what it's designed to help you to do, is let go or forgive every false and therefore negative. So the idea is that what's false is negative and what's true is positive. That's what makes us feel happy and peaceful and loving and joyful. So our job is to identify and let go of the false beliefs, thoughts, and emotions that cause us and others to suffer. All suffering starts in the mind. That's what the Course is saying. And then it gets projected out as words and then actions, and that's what causes suffering. And it's a spiritual path. Will allow you to live happily, peacefully, and lovingly, and all of that together in a word I call that flow. If you can live in the world but not be of the world, that's another way of saying it. So Jesus said to be in the world but not of the world is really the secret. It's the same idea. So you're connected to something deeper. You're connected to this love, this oneness, God, but you're able to operate in the world pretty happily, peacefully, and lovingly. Ultimately, this is pointing to the kingdom of heaven, as Jesus called it, escaping this world entirely. He's saying this isn't true reality. There's another realm. There's another reality, which is beyond the physical, and that's where it's training your mind to go. So that's the end goal. But while you're here, the goal is to live happily, peacefully, and lovingly by letting go of whatever's blocking those feelings. So in a nutshell, that's what the course is designed to do. There's some well-known students and teachers of the course. So that's Marianne Williamson. She actually was trying to run as the Democratic candidate for the presidency. She didn't do that, obviously, as you know, but she was trying to do her bit. Nelson Mandela. Now, I'm not sure he actually read the course itself, but he was certainly influenced by Marianne Williamson's ideas, because he quoted from her book, which is based on A Course in Miracles. It's a book called A Return to Love. When he came out of prison, his first speech when he was released, he quoted, "Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, which most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." So he quoted that, and that's was in Marianne Williamson's book, which is really her reflections on A Course in Miracles. So he was influenced by those ideas. That's Oprah Winfrey, who is good friends with Marianne Williamson. I think she regards Marianne as one of her teachers or gurus. So she studied it. Deepak Chopra, you might have heard of him. A guy called Wayne Dyer, in his later years, really started getting into A Course. Eckhart Tolle, and who knows, maybe you are the next famous students of the course. So just back to Phil, just thought I'd take a little bit of time out to tell you a bit more about what A Course in Miracles is. And I promised to share a little experience that he'd had. So on the last day of the Art of Letting Go course he did a couple of years ago now, we did something called holotropic breathing, which I'll explain more. It's a breathing session. It's very powerful, and it takes you into an altered state for about an hour. And the next morning he repeated it. He played the music that I sent him, and he repeated it. And he sent me this email in which he explained exactly what had happened. So he'd had some issue with his parents, which wasn't really justified, because his parents were actually pretty good people, but for some reason he thought that they should somehow be different. He said, I wanted my mother to be something else, even though she was a brilliant woman. She'd got straight A's at school. She got a bursary to go to university. She taught high school English. She did book reviews, and she had a weekly column in the newspaper in the town where they lived. This was up in Rhodesia, as was called in Zimbabwe now. But I wanted her to be something else. God only knows what. And so when he replayed this music, what happened was he had kind of a catharsis, as he calls it, a breakdown, and he just realized how ungrateful he'd been, and he let it all go. It just all came out. He said, I sobbed my heart out in that long moment. I was able to forgive myself, and also to ask his parents for their forgiveness. He said, I've been carrying this baggage around all my life at a huge cost. Because, as I said, he was 80, so 70, 75 years. And in 6 weeks, he managed to let this go. Which was a brilliant example of the idea of letting go being the key to greater happiness. So the second principle is this idea of flow. I call it fulfilling flow, because when you're in flow, it is actually very fulfilling. the experience itself, the activity of whatever you're doing becomes fulfilling, not because of the results you're going to achieve, but because you're enjoying the process. So if you can let go of negative thoughts and emotions quickly, then you can be calm, poised, and able to enjoy each moment, no matter what's happening. Even in difficult situations, you can actually find a sense of calm and poise, and it can actually be quite enjoyable to do that. I remember once I was driving down to Durban late at night, and I was going to visit my sister, and it was about 10:30 at night, and the car broke down, and I had a flat tire. So initially you kind of like, why has this happened? Oh, this is so inconvenient, I'm going to be late. And I resisted it. But then after about a minute of that, I was like, okay, I just need to accept that this is what's happened, and just get on with it. Just get into flow, and you know how to change a tire. Just change the tire. And so I just immersed myself in the process of changing the tire. I did it in about 20 minutes, and off I went. Within half an hour, I was on the road again, and I remember just feeling quite satisfied. I was like, actually, I quite enjoyed that, even though it was a stressful situation. It was dark, it was quite cold, windy, the side of the highway potentially dangerous. Because I got into a state where I was calm and poised, I was actually even able to enjoy something that for a lot of people would have been a nightmare. And that leads to positive, harmonious action to respond to any situation appropriately, just as I described. I took the right action because that was what was needed to respond in the highest way, and that worked, and it got a good result. And I ended up getting to Durban only half an hour late, as opposed to many hours late if I'd just sat on the side of the road and wailed and gnashed my teeth. So that's key benefit number 2, is this idea of fulfilling flow, even under pressure, even when circumstances are different. And just a little bit more about what is flow. So it's when we act freely for the sake of the action itself, rather than for ulterior motives. We learn to become more than what we were. That's the best quote I've found from this Csikszentmihalyi guy, who's the world expert on it. He said, it's a very profound sentence. It's when we act freely without having an ulterior motive. It's not about what we want to achieve from it. It's simply for the joy of doing the process. That we learn to become more than what we were, and we actually learn that we're more powerful than we thought we were. So when you get into flow, you learn more about who you are, which is that injunction again of know thyself. In the situation that I mentioned with the car, changing the tire, it actually wasn't about the ulterior motive. It was just like, this is what I've got to do. And I just got into the process and I did each step. And I wasn't really thinking about, am I going to be successful at that? And am I going to be late? It wasn't about the outcome as much as the process. And then Eckhart Tolle, this is what he had to say. Artistic creation, sports, dance, teaching, counseling, mastery in any field of endeavor implies that the thinking mind is either no longer involved at all, or at least is taking second place. Power and intelligence, greater than you and yet one with you in essence, takes over. There is no decision-making process anymore. Spontaneous right action happens, and you, quote you, the little you, the self that is fearful and worried and can get upset very easily, are not doing it. So mastery of life is the opposite of control. You become aligned with the greater consciousness. It acts, speaks, and does the works. And I had a very exactly this experience on the squash court. As I said, I was a professional squash player, and about 6 months into my professional career, I had this experience where I was very nervous about playing this match. It was against a guy who was older. He was in the same club as I was, but it was a club derby. We had 2 sides in the same league, and I'd lost to him a couple of months earlier, and I was really, really nervous at playing him because it was a club derby and everyone was going to be watching, and I felt like my choice to become a professional and my ego was very much involved in the outcome. And so that was where the fear was coming from. But I managed to let that go. I went for a walk just before the match, and it was a nice evening, and just I remember my sister, because I was with her, saying, "Well, why don't you just enjoy the process, enjoy playing," which is why I started playing the game in the first place. And I managed to just keep my mind very calm, very clear. I didn't think about the match. I didn't think about the outcome. I didn't think about how I was going to play. I got on the court and played amazing. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life because it just happened exactly as as described here. This right action just happened. Whatever I did worked. I wasn't really in control. It just happened, and I was actually able to just almost step back and observe it and go, "Wow, this is pretty amazing." I'm playing amazingly, but it's not really me playing. It was almost an out-of-body experience, and the result was amazing. I played really well. I won the match easily, but that wasn't really about the outcome. It was more about the liberation from fear, about feeling that there was something way beyond what I'd been experiencing up to that point in my entire squash career. And that changed my squash career, probably changed my life, actually. I may well not be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't had that experience. So, and we watch people like Roger Federer playing at a very high level because we enjoy seeing them in flow. That's why people pay a lot of money to watch them, because it's enjoyable to see someone who's totally focused, they're in flow, and they're not fearful. They're not worried about the occasion or anything. They're just zoned into the moment. But you don't necessarily have to be famous and be winning Wimbledon titles to do that. So this is another case study. This is a guy called Vim, who did the first Art of Letting Go course I ran. And a couple of weeks into the course, this is what he posted on the Facebook group. He said, I experienced a severe ego attack, as he calls it. So he was playing this social match of tennis against a friend, and he wanted to win. So he had this attachment to the outcome, and he wasn't playing particularly well, but because he wanted to win, he got extremely frustrated and irritated with himself, as he explains. And he tried to force points. He made worse mistakes. Everything got worse, and the whole match became a very unpleasant experience for him. So looking back, said I should have realized just to take a few deep breaths, get some perspective on the ego strategy, and not think about winning so much as just the process. But he lost his temper, and it was great that he shared it, because we discussed that in one of the Zoom sessions we did. And I shared the experience I've just shared with you on the squash court about getting into flow, and I taught him the breathing, diaphragmatic breathing through his nose. And to his credit, he applied it, and the next week he had a totally different outcome. I realized it wasn't about competition and winning. It was really about the experience. I was in flow. I really enjoyed it, and I was at peace. And he said, he's a chaplain in the army, actually. He said, I experienced God's pleasure in me that day. And that's how he described it. I also learned that I can choose to let go of anger, which doesn't work, and be at peace instead. So there's that idea of learning something more about himself through this experience, which is a profound lesson. That you can actually let go of anger and you can choose to be at peace, and that works a lot better. And then finally, the third and fourth outcomes it's the key to higher purpose and what I call wonderful well-being. So authentic happiness leads to this flow in every aspect of your life. That's just happiness in action, really. And then if you can be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life, you will have a meaningful, and what I call an extraordinary, ordinary life. So it doesn't necessarily mean you winning Wimbledon titles, but you're in a different state of consciousness, and your experience of life is very different. And that's what's extraordinary about it. So what was an ordinary tennis match becomes a very pleasurable experience, a very flowing experience. And you can do that with anything that you're doing, working, leisure time, family time, and so on, filled with miraculous experiences and results. And as I said, a miracle is not necessarily anything phenomenally like that defies the laws of time and space. It's simply it's an experience of feeling happy, peaceful, loving, and in flow, especially when you're tempted to not be. So if you get upset or you get fearful about anything, and then you manage to shift that state, by letting it go, that's when the real miracle happens. And so those are the key benefits, 3 and 4, is sense of higher purpose and well-being. And the third case study in this is a lady called Robin, who again did the first course I did. And at the end of the course, I asked her to fill in a feedback form. And that was the key benefit that she said she experienced. So peace, less anxiety, she sleeps better. Said, I don't take painkillers anymore, so it got her off drugs for stress headaches, better relationships with her children, and she's just not as frightened or worried. She also said about the Art of Letting Go course that she was totally satisfied with the value she got, and it was very helpful in helping her to let go of negative thoughts and emotions and find more happiness, flow, fulfillment, and purpose in her daily life. And I was just gonna play this little video because this was taken about 9 months after the first course. So a lot of these kinds of courses, people might get a short-term benefit while they're on it, maybe for a few weeks, a couple of months afterwards, and then very often they just slide back into their old ways, and nothing has really substantially changed. But this 6-week course Robin really did change her life, and it's continued to. It's put her on a different path, spiritual path, and she continues to live in a much more peaceful, less anxious and happier way. And I'll let her share that with you.
Hi, my name's Robin. I did the
Just going to go and get a drink.
last year with Jonathan. I'd never heard of the course before. For something entirely different to me, although I've been practicing meditation, I've been going to breathworks for some time, trying genuinely to find peace. I'm a mum, I work, I've got a normal busy life. I've been plagued with headaches, I've been plagued with sore necks and the normal problems that people have. I found that through the course and joining the online community, I found a group of like-minded people all exploring the course. The course is fundamentally different. At first I thought it was all about religion, which it wasn't, although it is about God, and I do believe in God, and it made a great deal of sense in my life that the only thing is really that we concentrate on is God. It's about finding love. It's about being kinder to people. I still listen to the teachings every day. I've found that by listening to the teachings and following the book and reading, I have become more compassionate. I've become a nicer person. I feel less guilty. I feel that the world is a different place. I don't feel that the world is always a good place. It's not. But I believe that it impacts me less. I used to be traumatized by the world. I used to lie awake and worry about things that are happening and my children and my life, and worry about my past and worry about the future. I've found that I've achieved a sense of peace. And if nothing else, I'm really grateful to Jono and the people I met on the course, because that sense of peace has helped me to heal many parts of my life. I no longer have headaches. I used to suffer with headaches. I used to have terrible neck pain that I was on painkillers on all the time. And honestly, those things have gone away. I don't take painkillers for my neck, and I don't have headaches anymore. My relationships with my children are much better, and my relationship with myself is a lot better. So in all, it's taken a lot of the jagged edges off of life, and it's just made life more bearable. And if you think about it, we're probably going to be here for a long time. So if it continues to get more and more bearable, and as I say, each day I learn a new lesson, and it does make life a little bit different and a little bit better, and I see things a little bit more clearly. And that to me has been the biggest gift of the course.
So that's Robin had to say. So just to summarize, the 4 keys to an extraordinary, ordinary life. Key to authentic happiness. It's really how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them seems to be, because you are going to get challenged in life, inevitably. And then it's about how you deal with that challenge. Second benefit is the key to fulfilling flow. So how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking appropriate positive action to respond to any situation appropriately. And benefits 3 and 4, the key to higher purpose and wonderful well-being. So how to be happy and in flow in every aspect of your life. So some people have one aspect sorted, but to do it in every aspect of your life. So that's home life, work life, social life. That's pretty rare. And live this super healthy, because you will be if you're in flow and there's happiness, flow, purpose, and well-being in your life. And it's filled with miraculous experiences and results regularly. So that's just happy moments, moments where you're happy in the moment, and that's really what life is made up of. You can have a series of happy experiences in every aspect of your life. I don't think we can ask for more. So you might say, how can I live this way? So learning new information is often necessary, but it's not a sufficient step for a true transformation of mind to happen. So there's two ways to true transformation. The first is through intense pain and suffering. You're forced to go within and break through suddenly to a new level of understanding and wisdom. It's the way of the cross. It's a hard way. I think in any transformation, there's always an element of it, because we only change if things aren't working, if we're suffering to a point. But it's just, to what level you want to take that suffering. Some people really have to go to their knees. Their life has to completely break down before they'll change. And that's not the best way, in my view. The second way is through conscious, disciplined practice of spiritual ideas and techniques. You can systematically grow in understanding and wisdom. So that's the way of mastery. So that's just diligent practice, incorporating things like meditation, breath work, and I'll talk about the 7 techniques I promised to share just now. Just incorporating those into your daily routine, so that systematically, progressively, day by day, you start to grow in understanding and ultimately wisdom, just a greater understanding of yourself, of life, and the ability to just handle whatever life throws at you much better. So the principles of transformation through mastery, first of all, it's about personal experience. It's not anyone telling you, saying this is what you should believe. It's not about dogma. It's about understanding and realization through your own personal experience. Therefore, it requires your active willingness and your disciplined effort, because it's your experience. If you're not willing to put in time and effort into it, then you're probably not going to have those experiences. Doing key spiritual practices regularly is essential. So that's part of the willingness and the effort. That's how it gets expressed. And it can be greatly facilitated by another person or group who help to raise the persons or initiates, as I call it in transformational language, consciousness, by transmitting positive energy and holding him or her accountable. So the idea of a group, if you're in a group and that energy is positive, the group has a positive group energy, it helps you to raise your energy. And there's also an accountability. If you're part of a group and the group's on the process, you're more likely to do the studying, the practices, because other people are doing it, than if you're on your own. And those are two keys to this program, because on our own it's very easy not to be accountable, and often we're just not getting that positive energy from anywhere else, and it's difficult if we're feeling, let's say, not so positive, to then self-generate it. And then there's this immersion in these key spiritual practices and this positive field of consciousness, which happens even on Zoom. So in a Zoom meeting, there's a transmission of energy happening, and this greatly accelerates it. So these are the key spiritual practices that I promised to share. This is how you actually let go of the negativity, because that's the key skill. How do you let go of negative thoughts and emotions as they arise? So breath work, I've shared one technique with you, which is foundational, but there's others that I can teach you. There's multi-dimensional meditation. So that involves a number of things. The reason I call it multi-dimensional is because there are a number of techniques involved in this. There's breathing, there's visualization, there's touching, toning, using sound, and all of those things. What they do is they help your mind to get out of its normal pattern of thinking. So if you've got a negativity arising, it's just about changing it so that you change your state. And in that state, in an altered state, it's much easier to forgive or to let go. So forgiveness or letting go is the third one. There's group discussion sessions, which happen on Zoom, so you don't have to go anywhere. Just have to have an internet connection and a phone or a computer. Reading or listening to spiritual texts. In this case, it's the A Course in Miracles is what we study. An end-of-day reflection process, just to pause, reflect on the day, to learn what you can learn from the day, rather than just letting those lessons get unlearned, and then you have to repeat them. And then finally, a pre-bed relaxation to set you up for bed. Let me just check in with you, my daughter. Are you still okay? Any questions?
No, so far I'm going with the flow.
You're going with the flow. Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Brilliant. So we've got another about half an hour. I'll crack on. We're getting to the end of it. Just appreciate your patience. But I hope it's been interesting so far.
Yes, very much.
Good.
The testimony is also quite encouraging.
Yeah, well, it's always useful to know that other people have done this and that it has worked for them. So that's why I include them. Okay, so just going to put you on mute again. So there's so those are the seven techniques, which some of them on, like, most people know about meditation, but there's always I always put a different dimension to it. So multi-dimensional meditation includes things that people wouldn't normally be exposed to. Breath work, a lot of people are not even familiar with breath work. Forgiveness or letting go, as I said, most people aren't aware that that's actually the key. Everything here is designed to help you to do that one thing, which is to let go. So 7 things, and ultimately, in the yogic tradition, they talk about samadhi, which is enlightenment, another word for enlightenment. These are all actually incorporated into the yogic path. And enlightenment is the product. If you do these various things, these various spiritual practices, you can come to the same kind of enlightenment that Jesus and other masters have experienced, where you're the light of the world. You are peaceful, you're happy, you're loving, you're joyful, and you're an inspiration to others, which is what we all want to be. So I'm just going to give you a little overview of what the Art of Letting Go course is about. It's a facilitated 6-week mind and life transformation process. So it's a 6-week period. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from your home, from your office. You just need a phone or a computer and a decent internet connection. It's based on the way of mastery. It's based on these yogic principles, which I mentioned, which are incorporated into those spiritual practices. And this idea of immersion learning, that you can really immerse yourself into this process over 6 weeks. So the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. There's no minimum requirement, but I'm going to give you quite a lot of practices and things to do. And if you can do them, you'll obviously get more benefit. If you don't do them, then your benefits is going to be limited. So it incorporates these 7 key spiritual practices, which are really equivalent to the seven limbs of yoga. So it's got some very deep roots, and because yoga is thousands of years old. The key spiritual practices include live and recorded daily online meditations and discussion sessions. There's a week of breath work that we'll do to start the course. So you'll learn a number of other breathwork techniques which you can use and incorporate. And then I incorporate those into the meditations as you've experienced. Those meditations always have breathing as their foundation. Self-study and solo meditation as well. And the goal is really to help you to learn to let go of fearful, stressful thoughts and emotions whenever they arise. So you can start consistently experiencing. And these are the key benefits, which I've talked about already. First one is authentic happiness, that you'll know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them appears to be, and just choose to be happy instead. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be easy, because challenges come, but if you have the knowledge and you know how to do it, then sooner or later you are going to do it, because a part of your mind's going to go, but I've studied this, I know how to do this. Too often people just don't know. And if you don't know how to do it, then you can't do it. So a couple more testimonials. This is a lady who studied the course for many years. She'd actually been a group facilitator of a Course in Miracles group. And she said, it helped me to see my subconscious patterns. It stopped me from doing things in my life that are good for me, like yoga. She's referring to the physical postures and so on, meditating, etc. And that revelation has been huge. I'm very grateful that I did your course. It has given me a great deal to think about. This is a lady called Chichi, who said that the letting go processes that she learned makes forgiveness seem so simple, which is really the idea, is to try and make it as simple as possible. Phil, you heard his story, how he had that cathartic experience, learning how to forgive truly. Happiness alighting. So this is another lady called Hazel, who did an exercise online. So Zoom's quite cool. The technology is great because you can actually split people into breakout rooms. So they can have a dialogue with one or two other people, not the whole group. So that's what I did, and they did this process, which is a process you'll do as part of the course, called Inspired Decision Making. And she felt, as she describes there, I felt expanding energy radiating from my heart center, which I've never experienced before. It felt like pure love, which was exhilarating to the point of me being wide awake all night. What a stunning experience, which will stay with me for the rest of my life. So I guess a life-changing experience. This is Lebo. He also did the second course I ran. It's like learning to sort out issues with another mind. So it gives you peace within, no lingering guilt or resentment. So that's key benefit one. Second one is fulfilling flow in your daily activities. So you'll know how to remain poised and enjoy the moment while taking positive, harmonious action to respond to any situation appropriate. It starts with letting go. If you can let go of negativity, and you can then find that calmness and that peace, naturally you tend to enjoy the moment more, even difficult moments, even challenging moments. And you tend to be able to take positive, harmonious action to respond to any situation appropriate. I'll give you another good example of this. In the Bible, there's that description of when Jesus was teaching in the temple courtyard, and they brought this woman to him. The teachers of the law, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, brought this woman to him. They said, she's been caught in the act of adultery, and the law of Moses says she should be stoned to death. What do you say? And they were trying to trick him. And obviously he was under a bit of pressure. There were crowds, and it could have turned very nasty. But he knew exactly what to say in the moment. So he just paused, and he bent down. He didn't respond straight away. He bent down. He drew a line in the sand. And then he got up and he said, let he who has never sinned cast the first stone, which was probably the best thing he could have said. And one by one, everyone, including the teachers of the law, dropped their stones and they just walked away, and they left the woman and him. And he said, well, is there anyone left to condemn you? And she said, no. He said, well, then neither then do I, be free and go and sin no more. So a very difficult situation that he had to deal with. But he knew exactly how to take the right action. It was positive and harmonious, that just diffused it all, and probably saved the woman's life and maybe his life as well. So that's a good example from the Bible of the principle of flow in action. This is another lady who did the first course. She just describes how she used the diaphragmatic breathing technique, and I've showed you throughout the morning and the afternoon. She had a trip to prepare for. She felt a bit stressed, but she just breathed her way through it. No mantras, no thoughts, just deep breaths. I'd say that controlling the breath controls the mind. So that's really the key. When you start to learn breath control, you can start to bring the mind under control. So it's very difficult to bring the mind under control directly and say, oh, don't think that. And you say, don't think that, and then immediately you've thought about it. So just the breath kind of gets around that and gives the mind something else to focus on, just a bit like a dog with the bone. My mind was at peace. I did all I wanted to do with zero mental fuss or chatter. Peace is real for me these days. Thank you. So thanks for these breath breaks. It's Marie. I feel totally relaxed and connected. So that's you've experienced some of these. And this is what John from Ireland had to say. Again, he found it very helpful, and he was able to handle very difficult situations in a calm and peaceful manner. And I took this as a compliment, although it didn't help me to improve the course. He said, I've been sitting with this question for a few minutes with no answer. Cannot think of any, which I guess was a great compliment. Then key benefit number 3 is the higher purpose that I talked about. So you'll start experiencing more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life, to bring higher purpose and meaning to all your daily activities. Because that's really what higher purpose is. If you can experience happiness and be in flow moment by moment, there's all the purpose you need. That brings meaning to everything that you're doing. It's not somewhere in the future. It's right here, right now. And finally, wonderful well-being. So you'll start experiencing more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life, and living this extraordinary, ordinary life that gives you and others miraculous experiences and results regularly. So the formula for thriving, or for true success as I call it, which is really inside out success, is first of all happiness and poise even under pressure. As John said, I was able to handle very difficult situations in a very calm and peaceful way. Fulfilling flow and a sense of higher purpose. So there was Vim's experience on the tennis court. He experienced flow and a sense of higher purpose in a very ordinary situation, all of which leads to well-being. And if you're being well in today's world, I think you're thriving, and that is true success. I think if this COVID-19 pandemic has taught us anything, it's that actually well-being is the true success. That success without health and well-being means very little. And Robin had a pretty all-encompassing experience in her life of transformation, of change, experiencing more peace, less anxiety, sleeping better, not having to take painkillers for stress headaches, better relationships, and not as fearful. So can you see why letting go is absolutely the critical skill? Because letting go leads to authentic happiness, which leads to fulfilling flow, and that in turn leads to the sense of fulfillment, higher purpose, and wonderful well-being. It all starts from there. If you can let go of negativity, then you can be happy. If you can be happy, you can find flow in your daily life. And if you're happy and in flow, then naturally you're fulfilled. Your purpose is in that. Is in your daily life. You experience that higher purpose and sense of meaning and a sense of wonderful well-being. If you don't have the letting go, then negativity tends to stick to you. You're not happy. If you're not happy, you can't find flow, because happiness is a requirement for flow. And if you're not in flow, there's no sense of fulfillment. There's no purpose, no sense of higher purpose, and you're not going to feel really well either. So all of that gets cancelled out if you can't let go. So that's why the art of letting go is critical. So key benefit number one, you'll be authentically happy by knowing how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter how challenging the situation provoking them appears to be, and just choose to be happy instead. Secondly, you'll do your daily activities in flow. So it's being first in that happy state, then doing your daily activities from that state, in a state of poise, being able to enjoy the moment while you're taking positive action to respond to any situation appropriately. And key benefits 3 and 4 is actually experiencing the fulfillment, the sense of higher purpose, and the well-being by being happy and in flow in every aspect of your life, and living a truly meaningful and extraordinary ordinary life that gives you and others. It's not just about benefiting you, it's about making a contribution to others as well. These miraculous experiences, which are just experiences where you're feeling peaceful, you're feeling happy, you're feeling joyful, and often that comes when there's a shift, when you're tempted not to, when you were feeling upset or angry, and you turn it around, which comes when you let go. The 7 key spiritual practices that I've talked about already. So this is how this gets incorporated into the course program. You do a meditation every day. I'll give you a 1 hour as well as a 40-minute and half-hour version of this guided letting go meditation, plus 2 20 to 30-minute live guided meditations, plus 2 recordings sent daily via email as well as WhatsApp. Forgiveness and letting go. So I'll give you a number of processes, the 10-step letting go process, which I'll guide you through at the end of the presentation, as I promised. It's included in the guided letting go meditation. There's 5 other shorter letting go techniques. If you don't have time for 10 steps, I give you just shorter processes, techniques that you can go through systematically to actually help you to let go in your mind. Breath and mind training breaks. So I give you a daily recorded 2 to 10-minute breath break sent via WhatsApp, combined with practicing the mind training lesson for the day from A Course in Miracles workbook. That's from week 2 onwards. So similar to what you've been receiving on the WhatsApp group. You're familiar with the format, but they're customized to the particular mind training lesson for the day. There'll be group discussion sessions, so discussion of ideas in the reading for the day. So you'll be reading some of the text as well as the workbook, and there's a Q&A opportunity as well. So you'll get 1 or 2 pre-recorded sessions of about 90 minutes each, available Monday to Saturday. I send those to you via email, so you can listen at your leisure. And then we have 1 live 2-hour session on Zoom every Sunday afternoon. All in all, that's about 100 hours total, which you have access to. You don't have to listen to all of it, but you can listen while you're doing other things. While you're driving, if you're driving to work, you can download the audio, listen to it on your phone. So there's many ways of listening to that without having to dedicate that time exclusively to listening. Reading, that's 1 lesson from the Course in Miracles workbook in the morning, plus 1 section of the text. That's typically 2 to 4 pages every evening. So a little bit of reading. I give you some audio, access to the audio of those as well. So if you want to listen to the text being read to you, then that's available instead of reading. I give you an end-of-day reflection process involving 4 powerful questions to ask yourself and answer at the end of every day, just to help you to reflect on the day and learn what you can learn from the day. And then that leads nicely into pre-bed relaxation. So I give you a power sleep meditation track, which you can listen to on your headphones before bed. And what that starts to do is it entrains your brain waves into a lower, slower state. and that puts them into an alpha state. And when your brainwaves in alpha, you will typically fall asleep quite easily and tend to sleep more deeply as well. So those are the 7 key spiritual practices. And the structure, there'll be an introductory week just to ease you into it. So we'll explore the theory behind the whole course, which is really the theory of A Course in Miracles, of the philosophy and the underlying teaching from a high-level overview. So you get a sort of big picture helicopter view of it. We'll read and discuss the first chapter of the text. We'll work through exercises 1 to 3 in the course manual. We'll learn and practice 7 fundamental breathwork techniques. And we'll work through in weeks 2 to 6. So that's the breathwork course I mentioned. In weeks 2 to 6, we'll work through 35 lessons of the Course in Miracles workbook. We'll read and discuss chapters 2 to 5 of the text. We'll work through exercises 4 to 12 in the course manual, and you'll do a holotropic breathing session at the end, which is just a very powerful breathing technique that, as you saw, had some great benefits for Phil. Okay, it's going to start on Sunday, the 24th of January. So about 7 weeks away. It's just to give people a chance to have their holiday, come back, and then start something new. Live meditations will be happening from Monday to Friday at lunchtime, 2:30, and then again in the evening at 6:30. So if you want to drop into those and join them, you're most welcome to. Otherwise, you have the recordings, which you can use as well. Live meditation and discussion sessions on Sundays at the same time, 12:30 UK time, starting at 2:30 South African time. So you can join those hopefully every week. And that's a chance to interact, to ask questions, to engage with other people, where it can become quite helpful, because any questions you have from the week, you can come in and you can ask those live. I'm also available on email and WhatsApp, so if you have any questions, you're welcome to message me. So you get the following tools in the course information and exercise pack: the 10-step letting go process outline. I'll actually give you that outline at the end of the session once we've done the meditation. A written worksheet as well. The 5 shorter letting go processes to help you to just quickly release stuff. 2 documents to help you to understand the theory of letting go. There's worksheets, name your game exercise, worksheets for the blueprint for your higher self and purpose exercises. So I guide you through all of this in the course. 5 extra transformational mind training exercises, 12 pathways to higher consciousness. There's a map of consciousness, which is very interesting to help you navigate the levels of your mind. A daily schedule planner to help you to structure your ideal day. And I include a lot of inspirational quotes and even a bit of poetry. So I'd normally charge £20 for that. And there's the Letting Go Power Meditation Power Pack. So that's 1 hour. There's a 1 hour version. That's the full version. There's a 40-minute. There's a half-hour version. So you can listen to any one of those. If you only have half an hour, well, listen to the 30-minute version. This is what, again, someone else had to say about it. Mike, I think you run a fantastic course. You did the first course I ran. Model of Daily Meditation is a really good one. It gets everyone really engaged. Really helps to make you feel that you're completely immersed. I do think it is a fantastic process. Sets you up brilliantly for the day. Then Power Sleep. So this is that sleep track that I mentioned. This is what Patricia had to say. She did the first course. I think I had the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. Woke up refreshed and a willingness to start a new day. Thank you for the course. I'm finding it most helpful. She'd also studied, she's been a Course in Miracles student for many years. So it helped her, even though she'd been studying this for many years. The Letting Go Meditation Power Pack normally sell for £20. And there's a holotropic breathing. So This is a very deep process. Takes you deep into your mind. As Robin said, I went to many events in my life, so you can go and relive past events. It can even take you into pre-birth, into the womb, past lives. There's many things that can happen. I can't say what will happen for you, but it is a profound experience. Anyone who does it generally has a very profound experience. This lady in the UK said, absolutely loved it and a mind-blowing experience, felt great for days afterwards. And there was Phil's experience where the holotropic session really helped him to have that catharsis, there was no doubt, and let go of that baggage he'd been carrying for his entire life. So I charged £15 for these sessions in the UK. This all happens online, by the way, you don't have to go anywhere. It actually works quite well online. Then there's the Facebook group. So there's a Facebook group where we post all of this. All the sessions are posted in there. There's a lot of material from the last couple of years as well, if you want to go and dive into the archives. As Mbali said, our withdrawal symptoms, I didn't realize just how spoiled I'd become with Jono posting lessons and reminders every day. I'm already missing it. So that's, and I would charge £1 a day for access to that. There's 2 daily reminder emails to give you the lessons and the text from the Course in Miracles to read every day, plus some handy links to resources. So what Vim had to say, thanks for all your emails and for my hard work. It was very kind of him. If I value those at £1 a day, it's £43. And then this is what Nadia had to say. So you'll get these audio recordings daily, anything up to 4 recordings, because I'll send you typically 2 up front in the morning, and then I'll send you the recordings that actually do live in the day as well. And that allows you to take these breath breaks, to take the time out to meditate and do the breath breaks in a very guided way. All you have to do is put the recording on, put your headphones on and listen. As this woman mentioned, it stopped a panic attack. It's been amazing for me. I hope you can continue sending me. It's really helped me center and ground myself, remember who I am. Okay, so there's the value of those. About 80 hours of recorded discussion sessions. So you get the video as well as audio. So you can listen, you can watch and listen, or you can just download the audio and you can listen on your phone or any device. It's just an MP3 file. And that can really help you to listen while you're doing other things like driving. About 10 hours of live discussion sessions. Have access to those recordings as well. About 30 hours of live meditation sessions. So roughly 120 hours if you listen to all of it. So there's a lot of material. So the idea is it's an immersion experience. Now, even if you can't do all of this, even if you're doing 10 or 20% of it, that's still quite a lot of hours in the 6 weeks. As I said, the more you put in, the more you'll get out of it. I'd recommend definitely doing the live discussions and trying to listen to the audio of the recorded discussion session for the day, every day. And as I said, the archives are all available in the Facebook group. So, and I'll post the live sessions in there as well. So there's a lot of material that you can go and catch up on and dive deeper if you want to. So this is Mike again, just really giving a nice overview of the course. So I wanted to include it because, well, it's quite a long one. It's talking about the course structure, the 2 calls a day, the teaching is good, keeping the flow, finding an aspect to talk about. Many of your takes are very enlightening. I really do respect and impress by your drive and teaching skills. I think your process is amazing and yielded great results. In-core meditations are really amazing. Find your meditation practice intertwined with the course content really works well. So guided meditations and the lesson for today often show me things I would not have picked up before. you give the space to view it differently. Most of all, I've really enjoyed being connected with people all over the world and hearing different perspectives from everyone. And Wim talked about the group energy. And there is a very powerful dynamic in doing that. So I value those at 10 hours, £10 an hour. Plus you get some bonuses. As I said, there's a lot of material in the course, from previous courses. So you can go into the Facebook group and you can access that if you want to. It's all available. And I give you a few extra months to do that. So get membership of the Art of Letting Go Facebook group, and you can go in and after the course you can go in and listen to and read what's on there. As Robin said, I download and listen to the audio session each day en route to work. Just being in the session that way and listening to what's said and shared collapses time for me. All the negative and stressful thoughts that used to preoccupy my mind are now not there. I'm listening and applying the ideas. So there's the Facebook group. So there's a lot of material there. As I said, you can go and you can dive into that. And I give you additional 3-month access to the Facebook group so that you can do that. Before the course starts, it was about 7 weeks. If you join now, I'll give you access to that. And afterwards as well, you can get access to it. And then there's also a lot of other stuff, some other really nice videos and material from other teachers like Eckhart Tolle, which is available in there. So total value of all of that is over £3,000. Don't worry, I'm not going to charge you that. Let me just check in. Are you still there, my daughter?
Yes, I'm very much
still with
here.
me. Okay.
Yes.
Just moving the phone around a bit. Okay. I'll just mute you again. So normally I just discount that by 90%. So you're looking at just over £300. But there's a free trial discount as well. So for the first 3 weeks is a free trial. Just double that up as a discount. So there's no risk in you trying this. If you don't like it in the first 3 weeks, you don't have to pay. It's very simple. I don't want to take your money if you're not completely happy. It was Black Friday last week, so in that spirit, I've just continued it on. There's a discount, Black Friday discount, and there's an early bird discount as well. If you do this until the end of, sorry, that should be December. Until the end of this month, I've extended it until the end of December. So it's £97, which is about a 97% discount to value. And that equates to just under 2,000 Rand at the moment, the current exchange rate. So I've tried to make it as very reasonable. You can also do a 1-year program. So this isn't a course where after 6 weeks that's it. You can continue and work through the entire Course in Miracles, which is a year's process. There's 365 lessons, the entire text, the manual for teachers, and there's some supplements as well. And so if you do the whole program, there's live online meditations every day, live discussion sessions, recorded meditations, and breath breaks, which you'll get access to, the Facebook group, and you'll get 1 daily email and 1 WhatsApp message. So I've valued all of that fairly conservatively. You can see the unit value per unit. It's like £5 per meditation or breath break per hour of the recordings. £10 an hour for the live discussions, but it all adds up to a pretty substantial amount, nearly £10,000. Again, I discount that by 90%, but then if you include the free trial discount, the Black Friday discount, the early bird discount, it's £297 till the end of December, which is also about 96% discount to value. So if you're really enthused by this, you can go for this, and you'll get a discount this year. But if you just want to dip your toe in the water, try the 6-week course, see how that goes, and then at the end of the course, you can decide whether you want to continue. for the full year. But I'm just telling you that that year is there. So there might be a couple of roadblocks. We're all familiar with this. We're coming up to the silly season, so no doubt we'll be seeing more of these on the roads. But in our lives, we have roadblocks. There's things in our minds that crop up that kind of tend to want to stop us from doing this stuff. So first one might be that you don't have the time. I know you're a busy guy. You've got a job that's probably quite demanding. You've got a family. So one way of doing it is watch less TV. If you do watch any TV, go to bed an hour earlier, and just get up an hour earlier to meditate in the morning. So you're trading TV time for inward time. The TV tells you your vision, whereas meditation, you develop an inward vision, a spiritual vision. That's a very good trade. And you can also try and integrate the other key spiritual practices into your daily routine to make you more effective and productive. So you can take breath breaks when you need a break from work. You can listen to discussion sessions while you're doing other activities such as driving, eating, cooking, walking. You can make use of that time with modern technology, just listening on your phone or any device, to give it to an MP3 format, to make the time, to make more of your day. So that's how you deal with the time issue. I'm not ready for this yet. Well, if you're over 30, that's just an excuse. Under 30, I'd say maybe you're not ready for this. A lot of people only come to this kind of teaching later in life, but I know that's not the case with you. And it's really just, if you say I'm not ready, it's just not taking responsibility for your own happiness, flow, fulfillment, purpose, and success. And no one else is responsible for these. Only you can do this. And 30 years can go by very quickly. Someone I know has been trying to write a book for nearly 30 years. And it's just amazing how quickly that time goes. 3 decades just gone. So it's the idea of, seize the day, carpe diem. Now is the time to do whatever you need to do. And you get a lot of tools and support to help you do this. As I said, it's a facilitated, guided process. So you're supported every step of the way. You're going to get messages, WhatsApp messages, email messages. Every day you're going to get recordings to listen to, Zoom sessions. So I'm not ready for this yet. So I'm just going to quote from A Course in Miracles, because it's just to give you a little taste of it. This is from the introduction. He says, this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. That's my underlining. What he means is that at some point we're all going to have to take this spiritual journey, because we all ultimately are looking for truth. Only the time that you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So it's up to us. The curriculum set, it's a required course. It's just up to us when we choose to take it. But if not now, then when? And why not now? So the course is Christian in statement. It uses Christian terminology like Christ, Holy Spirit, God, but it deals with universal spiritual themes. It's but one version of what is called a universal curriculum. There are many others, this one differing from them only in form. They all lead to God in the end. So given that I know you're a Christian, I think the language won't be a problem. For some people it is. But you'll probably learn a different interpretation of some of those terms, like miracles, Holy Spirit, Christ. What does that actually mean in terms of A Course in Miracles, as opposed to, say, a more traditional Christian viewpoint? And thirdly, I can't afford this. So what I'll say is, it's your happiness, flow, success, fulfillment, purpose, and life. And if you don't invest in yourself and your life, you're really saying that you're not worth it, which is the whole point of the course, is to help you to see your worthiness. And we all have this sneaking underlying feeling that somehow we're not worthy, we're not good enough. That's the ego's little sneaky voice coming in to try and sabotage us. And so a big part of the course is really to say, okay, I am worth this. As I say, action is the most powerful form of affirmation. So by paying for the course, you're telling yourself, your true self, your higher self, that you really are worthy of this, that you're worthy of investing in yourself. And that's an essential part of the whole transformation process. In my experience, if people get something for free, they tend not to value it. And so they tend not to pay really close attention to it, which means that their learning experience isn't as good. So you're paying so that you pay attention to this, to what you're learning, and so that you can get the maximum value possible from it. Your free trial voucher entitles you to a 3-week free trial, or a money-back guarantee. So whichever way you want to do it. The advantage of doing the money-back guarantee is you get the discount. There's a discount if you do this before the end of the year. But if you want to do a 3-week free trial, that's quite okay as well. And after 3 weeks, you can decide whether you want to continue and pay for the course. If you do pay up front, you decide you'd rather not continue with the course, the first 3 weeks you'll get a full refund. I have done that once. The reason the lady wanted a refund was she actually wanted to study the course herself. She actually didn't want a guided, facilitated process. She wanted to just read the text, which she was really into, of A Course in Miracles, herself. And so the guidance and stuff didn't work for her. But she needed to try it to see. So that's I have done it before, and absolutely will do that, because I don't want to take anyone's money if they're not really happy. So as I said, you can do the first 3 weeks free. You also get the Letting Go Meditation Power Pack that I mentioned, the course manual, 6 weeks access to the Art of Letting Go Facebook group, starting now, free. I'm not going to charge you for that. If you decide not to continue with the course after your first 3 weeks, you get to keep all of that. So you win. But I'm really just trying to make this as doable as possible. If you'd like to do the course free, you can pay a £397 accountability deposit. And then there's just certain things that I'd require you to do. So attend at least 5 discussion sessions, including the introductory and the closing ones, these 20 live meditations, complete all 12 exercises in the course manual, complete an online questionnaire after the course finishes, and do a 30-minute interview, just which I ask anyone to do anyway, as well as give me a 5-minute video testimonial that I can use for marketing purposes. So if you really want to make sure you do the course properly, that's one way of doing it. You pay the $397, which is about 8,000 odd rand, and you do all of this, and it keeps, there's really an accountability system. And if you do all of that, then you get the course free. So just to close, I'd say, can you afford not to do this? Because it's your happiness, it's your flow, your higher purpose, your well-being, your true success. They're really priceless. I put numbers to them, I put money to them, because that's what we're dealing with. In this world, you pay for services, but in truth, these are priceless. You can't really put a price on them. They're worth far more than any course in monetary value. So I'll just leave you with a couple of thoughts. This is from a guy by the name of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's a famous philosopher, lived a couple of 100 years ago. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far. So you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. So that's really what I'm asking you to do, is take a plunge, take a leap of faith into this. Just immerse yourself in this process. And at the end of the 6 weeks, you'll be a different person. Jesus actually did this to start off his ministry. He went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and he just meditated on it. And that's what set him up for his whole ministry. He got tempted by the devil, as I said, but he came through that temptation, and he was reborn in the spirit, and he came into the world to then teach this profound message. So this is a little over 40 days. It's a 43-day process that will take you through something similar in the digital age. And so just to summarize, there's the pricing. It's £97 or 1,990 just for the single course. That price is valid until the end of December. It's going to go up by £56 after that because those discounts, the early bird discount and Black Friday discount, no longer valid. You can also do this as a couple. So if you've got a friend or your partner you want to do this with, there's an extra discount to do it as a couple, £175 or 3,590 Rand. If you want one-on-one coaching as part of this, that's also an option. I call that the Mastery course. That's 7 hours of one-to-one sessions on Zoom with me to help you to deal with whatever's arising for you individually. It's not in a group session. You can also do that as a couple. And then you if you want to commit to the whole program before the end of the year, it's 397, 7,990 Rand. You can also do it as a couple. So there's various options. If you don't want to pay anything up front, you can do the free 3-week free trial. The downside of that is that when you come to pay for the course in February next year after 3 weeks, it is going to be £153. I think it's £56 more. So that's about 3,500 Rand odd, just over 3,000 Rand. So there's an advantage to paying. As I said, I'll give you a money back guarantee, but that's entirely up to you. And a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as Lao Tzu said. So it's about taking action. The most powerful form of affirmation is action. So if you'd like to do this, then you can sign up. You can go to that URL. Don't worry, just take it down. I'll send it to you via email and WhatsApp tomorrow. You can make a £56 saving on the standard course before the end of 2020. If you commit to it, it's a Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or you can pay directly into my South African bank account. That's also an option. So just let me know what you want to do. And if you like to do the 3-week free trial, let me know. If you'd like to do it free, the whole course free, and pay the $397 deposit, that's also an option. You can let me know about that. Or if you want to include 7 individual coaching sessions. And that brings me to the end. Any questions? I'll just leave that up so you can see the pricing. Any questions, my daughter?
No, John, I think it is well explained.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on, would you like to do the course?
Yeah, let me sleep over it and then I'll get back to you.
Okay. I'll send you a follow-up email tomorrow. So I have recorded this. So the whole presentation is available on YouTube. So if you want to go through anything, I'll send you the link to that. You can go and look at any of the aspects of the presentation, watch the whole thing again if you want to. If you have any questions, just drop me a message, a WhatsApp message. We can have a further chat to it one-to-one. It might be interesting to see what happens with the shopping center. So if anything does happen there, then we can do a set off. We can do a trade because I'll be owing you some money. So if you'd like to do it, maybe we just wait and see what happens. I'm just going to